Cast your mind back to when you're 5 years old. The passion for cars is there, but you can't drive, you're too young. You probably can't work on them, again, for the same reason. So what do? Well, model cars is usually the start of the obsession. And most of the time, you're probably never going to see the model cars that you had. They're all quite exotic and out of reach. But sometimes, by a curious quirk of fate, you may get to see the odd one, and if you're really lucky, you may even get to work on the odd one. Hi everyone, a very warm welcome back to MEC-TEC. Well, after that intro, there's not really a lot else I can say, is there? Apart from, what a machine. You know, it's just so cool. I'm not going to waffle on. Let's get straight into the video, and we'll have a little walk around this, see what's what, and go from there. Let's crack on. Rightio, this is going to be the first walk around and look at the STOBART Reliant Supervan. As I said in a previous video, this is particularly famous van in Reliant circles, at least anyway, because it is one of one. There is no other one like this, to the extent that actually Corgi, as you would have seen, made a model of it with that registration number on as well, so it is the correct registration. So I'm going to have a little walk around it with you, show you obviously what we've got, and a few of the differences. Now the biggest difference obviously you can see on the front is it's got this metal striped bumper on it, which obviously is on there to replicate a truck with the spotlights in. I don't know if the spotlights work. It'd be cool if we could get them to work. That would be absolutely superb. This grill's a little bit loose. I've got to do something with that, just rivet it back in, and the other one is inside the van, so we can sort that out. As you can see, it's had a couple of changes on the front. At one point it had the STOBART logo here, and it had, this was all white, and it had an Iveco badge there. Unfortunately, I think he's got the Iveco badge inside the van, but the stickers were coming off, and this is what was underneath it. So this must have been the original scheme, and it said Scania on it, which is obviously a different make of van, or a different make of truck, I should say. So going around it, it's got the name on the bonnet there, as all the STOBART lorries have got. They're all named after ladies, so I'm guessing that must have been the guy who made its wife, I'm assuming. Don't really know, to be honest. Got a little detail there, a little star on the side. I don't know what M301 stands for, as far as if it's specific to the guy who built it. Little bit of backstory on it while I'm here. This was built in 2004 or 3, one of the two, by an ex-policeman, and there is a matching trailer that goes with it as well, which is a really cool thing. So it's like a miniature Arctic setup, if you like. Here you can see the STOBART logo on the side there, and he's also made this custom sort of wind deflector on the roof there, which says STOBART on it as well. Unfortunately, we've got a little bit of paint flaking, but it all adds to it. It's part of the patina, as they say. We've got mud flaps on the back there, which is added on, which is kind of nice, like the trucks again. And obviously it has got a tow bar for towing that custom trailer that's been made for it. Now, being a slightly earlier van, this one's got the earlier rear lights, which are nice. There's a little bit of body damage here and there, but not much really. Now my old mate Dan actually saw this van in the NEC in Birmingham in the show in 2014. So it has been on the show circuit as such. Obviously got the STOBART logo on this side again. Just show you obviously all around it. I'll show you the inside as well. Door's a little bit stiff. I have to get some WD-40 on that. And now you can see the driver's seat is currently out. It's in the back there. It needs a new rubber not diaphragm, but like a rubber spring that goes underneath the padding. I've actually got that. Mike, who owns this van, has sent me that in the post. So this isn't actually my van, this is actually a subscriber's van. He watched one of my videos on the engine and said, can you have a look at my van for me? I've just bought this and I want to get it running better. So I said, yeah, all right. Obviously I knew of the van because it's quite famous, as I say, in Reliant circles. So these seats are original. I don't know whether they've been redone, but they are the original style seats, I should say. It's been carpeted in a different colour in here. It's actually got the original carpet underneath as well, so it's got quite a bit of sanding in it. In the back, we've actually got like a little board there which sort of partitions off the rear section, if you like. So a lot of, well, most Supervans would have had a rear seat that folds flat, but he's done away with that and he's actually put it in as a permanent fixture, as a sort of partition with a little storage area in there. You can see the other grille in there. I don't know whether the badge is in here or not. Yeah, there's a couple of bits of the seat runners, obviously seat belts. Don't know where the Iveco badge is, but we've not got original switches on the dash, but they are all there. So we've got heater, wiper, we've got an electric washer pump on this one, which is usually actually a push button pump, but it's actually an electric one on this one. I'm not sure what that middle one is. And we've got side lights and headlights there, and there are a few extra switches over there as well, as you can see. So I wonder whether one of those controls those front spotlights, possibly. The eagle-eyed among you will also notice that the steering wheel is not original. Obviously it's been put in to make it look like a truck steering wheel. My feeling on that is it's probably out of a Saab, maybe. I'm not 100% sure, but it looks like a Saab steering wheel to me, and it's had the Regal badge, or Reliant badge I should say, put in the middle, which is kind of cool. So that's all there. Mileage reads 67,935. Don't know if that's totally original or not, but it has got an 850 engine in it rather than the original 700, so obviously that's been upgraded at some point. Go around the back. This website on here isn't actually live anymore, so don't try and go on there because it don't work. I've got to reattach this little strap that goes on the bottom hinge there to obviously stop the door swinging right back. There's the seat, which we need to put the new diaphragm on the bottom of it, the rubber diaphragm thing. We'll sort that out. It's all been painted inside really nicely. Got a white roof, good tyre on the spare. The wheels have all been painted silver to obviously make it like an Arctic as well. Carpet on that rear door as well, look. The guy who did it, he really has spent a lot of time getting it right, you know. As I say, I've never seen, there isn't another one like it. Obviously down there you've got your normal pedals and your foot switch for your main beam, and the vent up there, so you get your heat. Open the little vent up, or close it if you don't want it open. I'm not sure what that's for. I would assume that might be for maybe a fire extinguisher to go in there, possibly behind the seat. But yeah, the reason I've got it is, as I said, because it does run, but it's been in storage for quite a number of years, and it needs a bit of fettling and breathing on to make it run a bit better, because it is a bit lumpy and it stinks of fuel inside. So there's obviously a fuel leak somewhere, which obviously you don't want, especially on a fiberglass van, because if one of these goes up, it's game over usually. It takes so quickly that you've not got a chance to save it. So yeah, that is what we've got. It is, as I say, one of one, totally one-off, custom made, and I feel quite privileged to be working on it. So that is why I accepted the challenge, because I thought to myself, I'm never going to get to work on it again otherwise. Mike, who's got who owns this, has got a trotter van as well, which he's got. He lives on the Isle of Wight. He's got a trotter van as well, and he's also got a standard blue Regal. Again, another van, but standard blue one. Not the Mr. Bean blue, it's a darker blue than that, but it's only done 21,000 miles from new, so he has got a little bit of a collection going. What I'm going to do next is get this in the garage. As you can see, the Capri has gone back to Norfolk. I've got a space in the garage, and we'll get it up in the air, get the bonnet open, maybe get the carpet out of the inside of here while I've got clean hands. and then we can get the side panels off inside here so we can get access to the engine and see what we're working with, and maybe we'll try and get it running to see what's doing what and what's not doing what, if that makes sense. So yeah, should be an interesting project, this one. Let's get it in the garage and we'll get it up in the air and I'll come back to you. Right, I've got the old Supervan up in the air. I've got 2 ramps under the back wheels and 2 axle stands under the front. Let's have a little look under here, see what we got. I'll tell you what, the chassis don't look too bad. Not bad at all. There's a few little bits of surface rust. You can see the steering box there. The A-frame looks okay. That cross member, a little bit scabby, but it looks okay. Got quite a big oil leak from the engine. Let me see if I can move this light without getting bars on the screen. It's my new light. It doesn't seem to affect the camera, which is good. As you can see, it's really oily, so we're going to have to do something about that, along with the gearbox. Now, interestingly enough, on this one, the gearbox is a 700 box. You can tell that because obviously it's got the proper recess there for the arm to come out, but also it's got the single rear mount. On the 850 boxes, they've got a twin cotton reel rear mount, so that is slightly different. You can see the axle and the prop shaft there. Axle's got a little bit of a leak by the looks of it. Again, nothing major. The outriggers, they all look pretty good. A little bit of surface rust, nothing really. Looks like we've got a slight leak from the brake reservoir. Let's have a little look at that. Maybe it might want replacing, I don't know. So yeah, this is my first look under here as well as yours, so it looks pretty tidy, to be fair. Considering this van's best part of 50 years old, I don't know if it's ever had a chassis restoration on it. I would say probably not, but it has survived remarkably well. So yeah, that is absolutely superb. I'll just get up and go around the back so you can see what's under the back of these. They've got obviously a fuel tank under the back of them, so I'm trying to get through the garage without falling over. Which is no easy task when it's my garage, you know that. Hopefully that light won't shine too much, but there's the fuel tank, which again has got a little bit of surface rust on, but nothing too major. Got a nice stainless steel exhaust, which is good. There's the rear axle. You can see the rear shocks there, leaf springs. Rear brakes look a little bit wet, so they're going to have to need, well, that side does, that side's a bit wet there, this side's not so bad. We're going to have a little look at the brakes, make sure they're alright. Looks like it might have had some repair work done to the chassis in the past. You can see along here there's electrics and fuel lines and brake lines and all that sort of thing. It's quite interesting to see one of these, for me anyway, completely built, because obviously my one's never been completely built because it was bought as a bare shell. So in a way, this is kind of helping me out too, because I can see exactly how everything in theory should be, which is really cool. So next job I'm going to do, now I've got it up in the air, is we're going to go inside, we'll get that centre carpet out, and we'll get the centre panels out so we can access the engine and see exactly what we got and what's going on. I'll come back to you when I'm inside the van. Okay, I've got you set up in the middle of the van. As you can see, I've got the light in there as well. Now it's quite handy in a way that this driver's seat is out, because I'm not the smallest person in the world, and getting access to these little vans can be a little bit tricky. So this is just held on with poppers like that. They go right the way round. Like that. And in theory, this should just lift out. May have missed a popper here and there. We'll see. Have I missed another one? Possibly. What's holding that? Another one down the bottom there I missed. There we go. Right, so that should then lift out. We'll put that in the back for safekeeping. Another popper down there. There we go. Don't want to damage anything because it's not mine, as I say. Put that there for a minute. Now, this is extra. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to take that off. Well, I might be able to actually leave it on there and I'll just unscrew it with it on there. yeah, I can get to all the screws, so that's all right. That's quite good. So there's an inspection plate behind here, and there's an inspection plate on each side here. So I'm going to go and get it looks like a Phillips screw on one of them and a nut and bolt on the other one. This one's a Phillips screws around here, and that will give us access to both sides and obviously the back here as well, so that's quite good. Let me go and grab a screwdriver and we'll see what we can get off. Right, God, it stinks of fuel in here. Old fuel as well, like stale, sort of varnished fuel, is what it smells like. Once you've smelt that smell, you never forget it. Screwed up there so we don't lose them. They've even gone to the trouble of putting this extra bit of sounding, you know, with this little hatch, which is absolutely superb, really, because obviously between you and the engine normally it's just a thin piece of fiberglass. So anything you can do to aid that as far as heat and sounding in is absolutely superb. I've actually got some sounding in for mine, which is a bit like Dynamat, and it's like the silver foil on the front with the bitumen sort of sticky back. So that's what I'm going to be using in mine. It'll probably make the van a bit heavier, but I'd much rather that and it'd be a bit slower than have me kneecap or my shin bone burned off by oh, that looks a bit naughty. Back of it's painted blue. I wonder if this van was originally that blue colour. It's interesting. Now that's the core plug on there that you can see that I've just replaced on mine, and that looks a bit, well, it's got sealer all around it to try and seal it in. I wonder whether that needs changing, but it's been leaking possibly. It looks a bit bulbous. I'll have to give that a proper clean up with some degreaser, and obviously see what it looks like. But obviously this is purely an investigation stage of what we've got to do to this little van, because I don't know as much as anyone else. Mike, who bought it, obviously bought it as it was, and it was effectively a non-runner. He did get it running for about 10 minutes, but he said it run really lumpy, which obviously is not ideal. And then he said he started smelling fuel, so then he quickly shut it off, you know, because as I said earlier, fiberglass cars and fires don't go very well. I'm going to have to get a socket on that, I think, because that's just turning. They've got like a metal bar that runs, or should have a metal bar that runs behind this plate, which has got two sort of captive screws in it. Captive nuts, I should say. Yeah, they're still there, so that's good. Got the proper bars in there. That's superb. Right, I'm going to go and get a socket for that. I think it looks like 10mm. What we've got on the other side. Let's have a little look. What we've got on this side. Got two flat-headed screws on this side, by the looks of it. Different again. It's the only problem with these old Reliants, because they are as old as they are, and obviously they go for a fair few different pairs of hands. The hardware doesn't always match up with all the other hardware, if that makes sense. Come on. God. Screwdriver keeps slipping out this head of this screw. There it goes. It's a voyage of discovery, this is. It doesn't look like these have been off for a long while, because the foam around them's all stuck to the fiberglass. Not intentionally either. It's where it's sort of what's the word when rubber goes funny? Can't think of it. Not perished is another word for it. It goes all like gooey. Right, we've got that side off at least, so I need to get a socket on this side, because we've got a nut and I wonder if I need to get the back of that. I wonder if it's been replaced with a nut and bolt. I'll get a socket on it and we'll see what we got. Wonder if it is a 10mm or whether it's Imperial. Depends how new the nut and bolt is. Oh no, 10mm fits it. Will it come undone is the question. Oh, my light's just fallen over. Took the camera with it. show you what I'm doing down here. Oh, I'm knocking the plug. Right, so there's the, obviously the panel, and there's the nut and bolt that should be a screw down there. So looks like the has had a separate brake light switch put in this as well. I'm assuming that is because it's got the tow bar on it and it wouldn't work with the original switch to switch the lights on the tow bar. I'm assuming, I don't know, because obviously it's all new to me, this van. Now this doesn't seem to want to undo for whatever reason. We may have to get a bit of, it's turning, but I don't know, it's the whole thing. I think it feels like the whole thing that's turning. It's not on, oh, it snapped, there we go. One way of doing it. We'll sort that out after. So there we are, there's our engine. And what we got here, looks like we've got one of these inline lead additive fuel jobbies, if that makes sense. That was quite a common thing back in sort of early 90s to up to sort of early 2000s. If you had a car that ran on leaded fuel, you could get these little sort of vials that have got like balls of lead inside them in a row, and obviously the fuel goes through it and puts lead in the fuel basically, so it would effectively be like a leaded fuel. So yeah, that is something which, well, it's up to you whether you want to do it or not. I mean, I probably wouldn't bother, to be honest, but I'm pretty sure because this is an 850 now anyway, it's got an unleaded head on it, so you don't really need that. If it was a 700 like originally, then you would need it, because the 700 head wasn't an unleaded head. But the 850 is, it's got hardened valve seats in for unleaded, as far as I'm aware. Feel free to correct me on that if I'm wrong, but that's as far as I know is the case. So I think maybe we'll get a battery connected up to this. He did say the battery was clapped on it, so maybe we'll get a battery connected up to this and see what it does and if it leaks and where. It looks like the rocker cover is leaking pretty badly of oil. It just covers it, absolutely covered in oil in there, as you can see. Try not to get lines on the screen. There we go. Oil and spiders. That's what we got in there. So yeah, the rocker cover is definitely leaking. Whether there's anything else leaking, I have no idea, because obviously this is the first time I've looked at it. So it looks like we've got an inline fuel filter down here, which is, you just about to see that in there, just there. So that's good to see. However, I don't know how old it is and whether it's breaking up or anything like that. So I think the fuel system is probably going to be the first point of call as far as what we're going to look at, I would assume, because this is looking a bit ropey, if I'm honest. But obviously that's because it's been sitting for so long, so I didn't expect anything less. It's not through any bad doing of anyone, it's just purely from age. So it obviously all worked well when it was done, because it was all sorts of shows. In fact, Mike, the owner, has sent me lots of pictures of this at various stages in its life, at different shows with various different wheel trims on it and all sorts. So it's certainly got used and enjoyed. Unfortunately, the guy who built it, I think, has passed away now, so he's not around to ask anymore, which is a shame. He sounds like a really interesting guy to meet. But I'm going to get under the bonnet and we'll get a battery hooked up and see what comes to life and all that sort of thing, and see what we got as far as leaks, if any. I'll come back to you in a minute. Right, I've got the battery charger hooked up there, as you can see, and when you switch the ignition on, obviously we get lights, which is good. We also get a funny little buzzy noise. I have no idea what that is. While we're in here, should we see what works? The buzzy noise stops now. That's interesting. Fuel gauge works. See it there? That's good. I'm going to rock the car, let it moves. Like they all do. Well, what we got here then? So we got heater. Yep, heater works. Wipers. No wipers. Okay, we have to have a little look at that. Not sure what that middle one does. Washers work. Yep, there it goes. It. See it on the screen. The washer pump works, that's good. Let's put the side lights on. We've got dash lights. Let's go and have a look outside, see where we've got lights outside. Yep, we've got a side light that side. See it lit up in there. And a side light that side. That's good. Let's have a look at the front. Yep, both sides. Lovely, that's good. Full set of those. So let's have a look at the main headlights then. Switch them on. Yep, we've got both main headlights. Now, I wonder whether we can find the switch for these fog lights. I wonder if they work. Let's have a little look. It's got to be one of these, isn't it? Oh, well, that's the horn. What's that one? Oh, that's the flashers. Let's put a flasher switch in it so you can flash your main beam. What's this one then? Don't know what that is, but it's making a funny noise. It's got a, oh, that's the indicator. Of course it is, yeah. The indicator stalk has been replaced with a switch. Right and left. It's flashing there. Yeah, it's not got an original indicator stalk in it. That's what that is. Yep, that's flashing. Let's try the other side. Make sure the other side's doing the same. Can't hurt, can it? Yep, we've got a back one. It's flashing a bit fast, but it's working. And then let's look at the front. Got no front. Well, that's why that one's flashing. Whoops! Ah, there's no bulb in it. In fact, the bulb's smashed. No, no bulb in it. So that's why that one's flashing fast. But we can sort that out and put that on there for safekeeping for the minute. There we go. So we can sort that out. That's no problem. That's easy fix. New bulb. Switch those indicators back off then. So how do the fog lights work then? That's the question. Can't work it out. They're not on with the normal headlights. Don't know on that. I'll have to do a bit of investigation into that. Let's see what it does when we crank it. If anything. Hang on, let's put the jump start on start mode. See what that does. Turns over but very slowly. I wonder whether that battery's drawing too much power. Charger's cut out now. Okay, there we go. What we might have to do is get a bigger battery, or another battery I should say, hooked up instead of that one that's totally dead, just as a temporary thing to try it out, because obviously we can't really turn it over with that battery drawing all the power out of it, because it's sucking all the life out of the charger. Having said that, it has started to pull some amps on that gauge. It was reading absolute 0 when I first plugged it in, so possibly, I don't know, that battery might recover. We'll have to see. I'll have to leave it on charge and see obviously what it does. But at least it turns over, so that's a good start. I'll get another battery set up on this and see what we got when we get back. I'll come back to you. Right, having had a quick look at this, I've took the charger back off. I've also disconnected these two pipes, and the earth strap that's connected to this battery is barely connected. As you can see there, it's all frayed at the end and it's literally held on by the skin of its teeth, and this is also loose. It's got one of these battery disconnect things on it, but look, it's just come off in my hand, so that wasn't very tight at all. You can see the state of that earth there, and also it goes down into another battery connector, which is not good, because obviously that could earth out on anything that maybe it shouldn't do, and then it goes to the body somewhere under there. So we are going to have a look at the electrical system on this, because I don't want to start a fire and burn this thing to the ground. So yeah, I think I'm going to have to do a little bit of stripping down, as far as we're going to get the battery out, get these air pipes completely out so they're out of the way, so they're not getting in my face. Also, there's actually two coils under here, as you can see there. I have no idea why there's two coils. Obviously one of them's packed up, so there's someone's just cable tied another one to the side of it, which I don't know why you wouldn't just unbolt the old one and bolt a new one in, but there we go. Anyway, that's besides the point. So yeah, also what I've noticed in here is the electric washer pump, which is there, is bolted to the side of the fuse breaker box. Now, call me old fashioned, but I wouldn't be bolting something that's got water going through it on the side of a fuse box. Or is that just me? I don't know. But that don't seem right to me, so I think we're going to have to change that as well, because I don't like the way that's routed like that. I hope Mike agrees with me on that side of things. He asked me to just sort it out, so let's hope he agrees with what I'm coming up with. But yeah, I need to think before we even try and turn this over anymore. We need to look at the electric side of it and maybe upgrade on a few things, because there's a few dodgy things on here that aren't particularly safe, shall we say. Yeah, I'll come back to you in a bit. Right, having got the battery out and also the air pipes for the heater out of the way, you can see in here that we've got quite a few things that need attention, shall we say. There's the coil's obviously packed up, so someone's just cable tied another one to the side of it rather than taking the old one out. Not really sure why. It's not a difficult job to take it out, but anyway, so that needs to be sorted out. This positive cable is literally just connected via a few strands of wire in there. It's not very, what I would call, safe. Same with the earth that I showed you earlier, which runs down to the body inside there. That needs changing, because that doesn't look particularly safe either. And you can see the positive wire at this end goes into this, what would you call that? Can't remember. The terminal for the starter, like, I can't think what it's called now. It escaped me. But anyway, the wire is taped up. I don't know why. But I think it's probably going to be a good idea to change that wire as well, because, as I say, fires on these are their biggest enemy, really. So we want to obviously make sure this is nice and safe before I go anywhere near starting it again, because I don't like the look of all that lot. So I'm going to sort of snipping bits out that we don't need, like that coil for example. And try and tidy up this wiring a bit. We've got a wire dangling here which comes from that center switch on the dash, which doesn't go anywhere. And I've also had a look at those front spotlights, and they've all been cut, so they're not even connected. So we could reinstate those later on in the sort of project. But first of all, I think we need to sort out the wiring and then sort out what the engine runs like, and obviously then go from there and doing the nice stuff after, like the lights and things like that, because they're not a necessity at the moment. So yeah, that's where I'm at the moment. So I'm gonna just sort of stare at this for a little while and see what I've got to do and how, and I'll come back to you in a bit. Right, I have put a new earth lead on for the battery there, as you can see. Now that's actually mounted, for whatever reason, underneath the wiper motor on this particular van. The wiper motor is actually in this bag here. I've got it unbolted at the moment. Now the reason I put it back there again is obviously that's where it was to start with, and also because the wiper motor's over the top of it with the rubber over it, it's obviously kept the metal in very good condition in that area, so it gives it a good earth. So I've left it where it is for now, obviously on the thinking that it was there before and it worked, so we're going to go with it again. But obviously we've got a nice new cable this time, so it should work even better with any luck. So I'm going to get the wiper motor bolted back on, and then we can go topside again and see what we can do the other end to make things work. Let's carry on. Right, one thing that I have got to use on this little van is some of this. Now it looks like a tub of face cream, but it's not. It's actually, as it says there, electrically conductive grease. So I'm going to put a bit of this on the earth strap that I've put on, and also on the earths that are under the van. I've just undone the nut and bolt that hold them on, so I can get a little bit of this in between the joins, stop them corroding, and obviously give a good earth. So that should do that a world of good as well. So we'll probably be using this quite a lot on this little van if we find any electrical connectors that are obviously in need of a bit of rejuvenation. I'm going to get some of this put on the joints underneath, and then we'll come topside and maybe get a battery in here and see how we get on. Right, as you can see, we've got our donor battery that I'm using at the moment. Got the 2 new cables with clamps on now. I hook those up. No spark at all when I connect that, which is good. It means there's no drawers anywhere. So let's see now if it turns over properly. Because before, as you would have seen, it was very, very slow turning over. Got ignition lights. Oh, that's better. Lovely. Right. I wonder whether it will start. Let's see. Possibly. Hey, she's your runner. Sort of. Definitely not running on all 4 though. That was definitely not running on all 4. Come on, stink to fuel. Where are we leaking from? Oh, I can see. We have got some serious fuel leakage in here, so I'm not going to run that anymore until I sort that out. Let me show you. Hang on a second. Let's switch on the light. Hopefully you'll be able to see a bit better. We've got mega fuel leakage in here from the back of this funny filter thing that's in here going into this pipe here. So I think we're going to do away with that because that is going to be a bit of a hazard, I think. So I need to get some fuel pipe sorted out for it, and then we can obviously sort out that bit of it at least, and hopefully get it running a bit better. It wasn't running all 4 cylinders though, so maybe what I'll do is take that cap off in a second, and we'll have a little look at the rotor, see what that's doing, and go from there, I guess. I'll come back to you in a sec. Right, in here, as you can see, I didn't show you, we've got the new red cable going to the starter solenoid, which is this big one here. We've got the new earth cable here, which is going down to the mount on the chassis, which you saw a minute ago. I've deleted the coil that wasn't working and bolted the new one in properly. I haven't done anything with the washer pump yet, but I'm going to do that in the future. I've also got to elongate the wire that goes to the battery for this earth on this relay, either that or run it to the earths that I've done on the body, on the chassis I should say. So yeah, we are getting somewhere on the tidying up stage of things now. You can see what I said about water, and look, I've just touched that pipe off the side of that washer pump and it's just come off in my hand, and that's right above all the electrics. So that is not a good place for that pump. That's definitely got to move. Not sure where yet, but it's definitely got to move. So yeah, it's getting a bit tidier under here. So I think in a minute we'll go for a crank over and see what it does. Let's carry on. Right, one of the good things about being a bit of a hoarder when it comes to car parts is you usually have the right stuff on the shelf. So I've got a nice new piece of fuel hose in here. We've done away with that funny filter thing that was there. It's 1/4 inch fuel hose. It is a tad long at the moment, but I've left it the length it was just in case we need the extra for any reason. Let's see if we've got any more leaks. I've just checked the position of the leads. They're all in the right order. So let's see what it does. Oh, I'll tell you what, let's connect the battery first. I've took the battery off. Hang on a sec. Right, try again. Got lights this time. Don't know how much choke it needs or what, to be honest with you. I don't really know what it needs. I've not got a fuel leak anymore, so that's good. But also, we've not got a start either. Interesting. It did fire up before, didn't it? Push the choke all the way in. little bit of a gallop to it. That could be just where it's sort of not been used and the rings need to come back round a little bit. Don't want to know. It's almost like we lost spark. I've got any spark. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of investigation into this and obviously see if we can find out what's happened, because we did have spark and now we haven't by the seams of it. So I'll come back to you in a sec. Right, I've just took the distributor cap off, and obviously you can see in there, I wasn't expecting to see that, it's actually got an electronic ignition module in there. So there's no points to adjust or anything like that. It is all done electronically by that little red module. So what I was hoping to see was corroded points, but yeah. So there's not a lot I can do with that at the moment. Inside the cap is absolutely immaculate as well, so there's nothing wrong with that. That's absolutely superb. So I need to keep investigating, I think, and find out why we haven't got any running. Now, looking at the other side of the fuel pump down there, that fuel filter doesn't look great, so it might be that that's all clogged up. We're not getting enough fuel through. Also, this pipe has got a bit of a kink in it. In fact, that's rubber. That's probably why it's got a bit of a kink in it. I thought that was a metal line, but it's not, it's rubber. So yeah, I'm going to keep investigating and find out, or hopefully find out, why it's not starting up. Let's carry on. Right, I just took one of the spark plugs out. It was absolutely soaking wet, so I think I may have flooded it. But as you can see, if you look just above this blue bar here, you should be able to see a spark there in a second when I turn it over. Massive spark, so that's okay. So the spark ignition side of things is fine. So I think we're down to either the spark plugs are all soaking wet, or it's not fueling it properly for whatever reason, or whatever else. So I'm going to whip all these plugs out, give them a dry out, give them a quick wire brush up, and then we'll have another go. Right, I've just took number 1 spark, well actually it'll be number 4 spark plug out, and you can see all these bits here. I can only assume that is carbon. And the whole plug, literally the whole, I should have shown it on film, but the whole end of that plug was absolutely full of carbon and there was no gap. So that's why that one wasn't sparking. So I'm wondering if the other two are going to be the same. So I'm going to buzz the other two out now, have a look. Obviously I've cleaned this one up with a wire brush now, got all the carbon off of it. And I'm going to test it for spark, make sure it's still sparking right outside the engine. And then obviously put it back in again and see what we get. But I can't believe that, I've never seen a spark plug like it. I should have shown it on film, but it all sort of crumbled off as I pulled it out. But that's, as you can see there, there's a big lump of it there, and the whole end of the plug was completely coated in carbon, like you couldn't even see the electrode and the anode. So it could be part of our problem. Now carry on, I'll come back to you in a second. Right, this is spark plug 2. Now as you can see, it's a very similar thing. Now it's nowhere near as bad as that first one. I wish I'd have shown it now, but as I say, it all flaked off, but you can see the carbon on there. It is building up. If I get, let me put you on a tripod, well you are on a tripod, let me stand you up so you can see. I'm going to get a little screwdriver and hopefully you'll be able to see this flake off. See, there's a big lump of it on the back of that. See it scraping off? That's a bit difficult to focus at the same time as doing it. There's literally a big lump, you can see it there. It's very hard to get it to focus because I'm obviously trying to see what I'm doing at the same time. There we go, that got it. All flaked off. Now I don't know why it's done that. Whether it's just from, yeah, look, there's a big lump of it there. See that? And that is rock hard and obviously won't allow it to spark properly. You can see that there. So that's what's all over these plugs. The first one I took out wasn't like it at all, but I think it was only running on 2 cylinders, and this is probably why. Because, as I say, it won't get a proper spark if it's all carboned up like this. So I'm going to go around this again, clean all this up, and obviously check it for spark. I checked the other one that was really caked up and that sparked absolutely fine. So I'm going to do the same with this one, and I'll report back to you if number 1 or number 4, whichever way around it is any different. But it just wants a good old clean, I think, wire brush, and hopefully it will spark nice when it's in there. I'll come back to you in a sec. Right, number 1 spark plug was nice and clean, so we only had one that was a real caked up one. So let's try this again and see what we get. Absolutely nothing, so I'm guessing that the carb is going to be the culprit then. Right, I have just had this running, but with the fuel pump disconnected. Now I'm pretty sure that it's the carburetor that's at fault, because it's obviously flooding it out and it's putting too much fuel in and just wetting the spark plug. So if I put my finger over there, got the carburetor now disconnected from the fuel pump. I'm going to crank it over, and when the fuel level gets a little bit lower, it will start up. See, tries. There you go. That's with the fuel pump disconnected. So, to my mind, it is definitely a fault with the carburetor. It is revving a bit high, so I'm guessing it's probably got a vacuum leak as well, maybe somewhere. I've got no choke on at all. That's just as it is. As you can hear, it does run, but not that well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to run that carb out of fuel, and then I'm going to get the carb off, and we'll have a look inside it and see what sort of horrors are inside it as far as gunk and varnish and whatever else. I'll come back to you in a minute. Right then, I think that's probably a good place to stop in this video. As you've heard, it does run. The old Eddie Stobart Miriam will live again, but it does need some more work. So in the next episode, we'll get that carburetor off and obviously have a good look inside it, clean it all out. Hopefully we won't find too many horrors in there. It might just be adjustment, I don't know yet, but I'm going to take it off anyway just to be on the safe side, because obviously with the fuel pump disconnected, as you saw, it will run, but with it connected it just overwhelms it and it won't run, it just floods it out. So if you do like what you see, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button down there. There's always lots of different things going on the channel. Obviously I've been seem to be on a run of Reliance at the moment, but it's just one of those things, the way it goes. There will be other things back on the channel soon, hopefully, as well. Remember, I have got Instagram, MEC_TEC 1985, and I have got Facebook, MEC-TEC, for little sneak peeks during the week of what I'm up to. And all that is left for me to say is, if you want to join me soon for more automotive adventures, I'll see you again next time. Cheers guys.